Gabagool. Thanks for joining us for this quick call for the Redlion Gazette. Let's start with your explanation of what happened with Divergence and what is the whole story here.
Yeah, so in terms of like what happened, uh, I was simply buying ribbon, and I bought a fair amount of ribbon. I bought about 20K worth of ribbon, which for my portfolio is a pretty large position. And I was on the Uniswap pool, and I was just trying to like keep track of big buys and sells, and I happened to notice that a 17 ETH sell came in, and I thought, oh, I'm just curious, is that someone who got an airdrop and dumped it? So I clicked into their Etherscan wallet, and I noticed that, interestingly enough, the wallet was draining ETH. So it had done this big sell, and then it immediately drained ETH to a new wallet. Um, and I clicked into that wallet, and I was curious, who is this account? And I noticed like every 2 or 3 minutes they were selling between 25, or they were receiving between 25 ETH and 17 ETH. And I clicked into some of those wallets, and I noticed that all of this ETH came from Ribbon airdrops. So, I mean, pretty immediately, I was like, okay, this is a Sybill attack. Someone gamed the Ribbon airdrop. But I was very curious, who is able to successfully do this? Because by this point, the wallet had like 400 plus ETH in it, all from Ribbon airdrops. Um, so I looked up the wallet on Twitter. I didn't see anything for that address. I looked it up in GitHub, and I didn't find anything. And then I ended up just checking, oh, do they have an ENS domain registered? They actually did have an ENS domain registered. It was registered to this Bridget.eth. And um, I was like, I wonder who that is. I put it into Twitter. And there was one tweet, just a single tweet. The tweet was this person named Bridget Harris. Bridge Harris was the account. And they were sending their ENS domain to someone doing a token giveaway. So the interesting thing is that they were an analyst at a VC fund. So, that caught my eye nearly immediately. I was like, wow, okay, what is Divergence Ventures? I went and I asked, I kind of like showed some of the information to some people in a chat that I'm in, and they said Divergence Ventures is an investor in Ribbon. And I thought, oh, like that immediately made me think, whoa, an analyst from this VC fund that's invested in a project is sibling an airdrop. And so I just kind of sent out the tweet, and to make a long story short, a lot of work has gone into this, and I am not trying to claim that like what I did was in any way, rocket science. It was not it was not like super difficult technical analysis. I think that actually some other people like Zoomer Anon and Sisyphus have both done some really strong on-chain analysis. We've had bounties that have been paid out for other people helping us identify further wallets. But basically what we've found is this was a coordinated large-scale effort. It appears as if Bridge Harris's primary job potentially was to conduct this form of Sybill attack. Obviously, I'm not, at Divergence. I don't know if that's the case, but whoever did this spent a long time doing it. They did it across many wallets. We have found numerous other wallets associated with Geo.eth and Valleypunk.eth, both wallets that are doxed as being associated with Calvin. And, they were doing this to, as far as we can tell, many different Portco, protocols. So companies that they had invested in.
What were they doing exactly, and how were they doing it?
So what the strategy was, they were told on May 17th by Julian Coe, the Ribbon founder. They were informed that there would be an airdrop. The airdrop was mentioned. He did not mention the exact qualifications according to his statement on this, but he said something about an airdrop. And on I was just looking at a Dune Analytics dashboard. Give me 1 second. I believe it was May 18th. There was depositing. And so they deposited before the snapshot. They basically, the strategy was to deposit around 0.1 ETH into Ribbon's ETH Theta vault, and that got them around 15K Ribbon per address that did it. And all of that was instantly dumped Friday. And the fact of the matter is, the dumping really only stopped once it appears they noticed on Twitter what was happening.
Oh wow, that's very interesting, and it really sparks a conversation about what is a VC's role in the crypto NFT industry, and can they keep doing what they have been doing up until now, or do they need to change their ways?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to personally make a statement saying like VCs uh, are all bad, but I do think that this is exactly what a VC fund, honestly, like has some duty to do, is exploit insider information for profit. And I think that for me, it's like, how do you design a system that can ensure that there's a fair distribution of tokens when VCs are capable of gaining information before other people? And also when they have the resources to exploit that information. It's really difficult. I do think that this kind of fundamentally challenges the retroactive airdrop model. And I'm sad about that. I love airdrops. They've had a tremendous impact on my life and bringing me into this space. So I think that generally speaking, we're going to see more community raises, more fair launches. It's hard because there's so many projects out there. That's one thing that VC funding seems to do, is they fund a lot of different projects. Some of those turn out to be super strong and work out well, and probably a bunch others just flop. So as a community, I think really it's going to be on us to take more responsibility in providing funding for promising developers and teams if we don't want that funding to come from VCs.
Yes, of course, it wouldn't be fair to say that all VCs are bad or have bad practices. However, it's very interesting to see the irony here where traditional media dubs crypto and NFT world as the wild wild west. However, it's a very transparent industry and an industry with a deep sense of justice.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think what I kind of just now, like a few days after all this happened, and it's been a crazy few days. I've been like constantly responding to DMs. People have been sending me tons of wallets to look at. Um, the thing that I am just starting to realize is kind of how rare it it is to actually be able to link a wallet to a verifiable identity of, one of these VC people. I think that that was like a mistake that was made, an OPSEC mistake that is pretty rare. I think this is happening on a large scale. At the very least, I can say that DYDX was very extensively gamed, and so was the fourth airdrop.
Yeah.
And but it's much more difficult to find information that ties back to a specific person, because most of the time they don't fuck up like this.
Yes, I absolutely agree. I think the best approach here is educate people, spread the message, what happened, and try to create better systems and avoid these controversies in the future. However, it is a very difficult challenge and it will be very, very difficult to actually create those systems.
It's super hard to make. It's really hard to design a perfect Sybil resistant airdrop. I think like one of the reasons that past airdrops were successful is because it was slightly less expected that this was happening. And now every new project that does not have a token, I mean, I feel like we've all seen the spreadsheets that are sent around. People are actively farming them and trying to do precisely this. They might not be performing Sybil attacks, but they are at least using like, a couple of wallets to go through and try new DeFi protocols in the hope of an airdrop.
Yeah, a few users speculating what is the next protocol or project to airdrop a token and just pushing volume through is not such a threat for the system. But when you have VCs and people with real resources leveraging on their information and their position to actually harm the project they actively backed, and also the people that supported the project, that's criminal activity.
Yeah, and I mean, God, Divergence managed to capture over 10% of the Ribbon airdrop, relatively easily, it seems like. Um, and that's a large percentage of, circulating tokens. And I, you know, I I think that like it's the kind of thing that, we all want these, projects to airdrop tokens. We want things to be decentralized. But I I also spent some time yesterday looking at some projects that people sent me on Solana. And as far as I could tell, at least one of these projects seems to have been created almost solely for the purpose of performing a Sybil attack. It feels like the product project was, yeah, it was basically a vessel to collect liquidity for a VC to dump on. Or I shouldn't say VC because I don't know who did it. It could have been an
Yeah.
individual. But it was sad looking through those
This is
transactions.
really interesting. So it's creating a new industry in the scam world. So basically, they create a project that insinuates that the users will get rewarded by an airdrop token, and then they just actively build on that volume and that hype with the goal to ultimately dump on them.
Exactly. And it's like, in some ways it's a much easier scam than a like than a pump and dump, because like a token pump and dump, because you can always just hide behind the anonymity of that. It's not like it doesn't have to do with a team having like tokens on a vesting schedule. It can all be done anonymously. And usually these projects have some core group of people who are kind of bag holders who may have even received an airdrop, who then become kind of fervent supporters and are really reluctant to admit any kind of wrongdoing. And yeah, it's so hard in this space. I think to get people to acknowledge some of the stuff that's happening like that. And I think that like if anything comes from this, my goal is not like, I think like Sisyphus is really intent on making sure that divergence never gets on a cap sheet. And I respect that. Like I admire what he's pushing there. I think my goal is I really want people to do this kind of research, and I want them to do it together and to publicize it. And I also think it's really important that we in some way incentivize this form of research and publication rather than just having people trying to copy trade it.
Yes, I absolutely agree. And I think raising awareness and educating people is the way forward and will ultimately lead to the systems becoming more robust and the creators of these systems taking more active action to prevent scenarios like that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, this has been great. Do you have any closing remarks?
I think I think that I'm really just want to thank the Ribbon community and team. I feel like all of my interactions with them have been really positive. I really encourage people who hold Ribbon to take a look at the governance proposal to provide a bug bounty to me. And I'm asking you to do that not because I think I'm not like trying to make a ton of money off this, but I think it's a very important discussion to have as a community. How do we consider kind of white hack research? Is this something that we want to encourage as a collective community? Is this something that has value? And if it does have value, how do we measure that? Is it the same as the kind of industry standard for an exploit? Et cetera, et cetera. I think there's some really interesting perspectives from both the pay 10% and the pay 1% people. I think people have good points to make, and I just think that the more active that kind of conversation can be, the better. I also want to say that I think that a lot of protocols should reach out to me and Sisyphus and Zoomeranon. Protocols including Charm Finance, Saddle Finance, Hop, Grow, Fourth, Av, Curve, 1inch, Optimism and Arbitrum teams. All of those teams have been Sibyled, whether they've done airdrops or not recently or have any planned. And I think that it's really important that we make sure that the kind of divergent Sybill attacks aren't allowed to just profit in the future because our attention has kind of moved on from Ribbon. I think that we need to figure out some forms of active responses to at least the behavior that we've uncovered.
Yes, absolutely agree. And these activities should be rewarded because if they aren't, then the opposite side of the coin is rewarded only, which is not good. And it will be very, very interesting to see how this story develops and if the teams that you mentioned go forward and actually contact you guys. And it will be very interesting if we can have an update from you in the future about it.
Amazing. And I think also I really recommend you checking out Zoomeranon's account. Zoomer has like a smaller platform than mere Sisyphus, but has been super integral to the kind of work that we have been doing, and I really want to make sure that they and their account get some credit in this whole story. So even if it's just like a hyperlink to their Twitter, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, will do. Thank you very much. This has been great, and thanks everybody for listening this quick call with Gabagool and the Redlion Gazette.